Good afternoon, Neil. Welcome to Solihull Moors. Congratulations on your appointment. How does it feel to finally be here?
It's great. It's weird because normally when you get a manager's job, it's during the season and wallop you're in and you don't get time to think. So this one's been a little bit more progressive and slower. So it's lovely now to come in and see people's faces, meet the press, and you start to get a real feel for it all.
Brilliant. Your previous clubs, you got quite unique bits about you as in charge of the youngest team in the Football League with AFC Wimbledon, and at the time the oldest team in the Football League with Notts County. What are the similarities and differences between ourselves and Wimbledon and ourselves and Notts County?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of similarities between Solihull and Wimbledon. You know, Wimbledon had 6 promotions in 10 years, and it was a club trying to catch up with itself and, you know, still managed to drive forward. And there was an incredible ambition from this newly found club to carry on driving up. And it's very similar here. They've been so successful and done so much great stuff over the last few years. And there's the same sort of feeling of ambition of we don't want to stop, we want to keep going. And you know, it's not a case of throwing money. It wasn't at Wimbledon, you know, we didn't have a big budget there, but it's a case of what can we do to take this on, what can we do to go to the next level. So it's a very similar feeling in that respect. Obviously Notts is different. It was a wonderful club. It is a wonderful club, wonderful fans who I've got a lot of time for, but it was a totally different feeling of we should be here and we're not, and we're there, and that was a lot sort of different in the whole mentality of the place.
So the difference being there, Notts County had been at the higher level and we're trying to get back there. AFC Wimbledon was striving to improve, and same with ourselves.
Yeah, and you know, you look around Wimbledon and Solihull, they're smaller clubs that people probably didn't know so much about as they were coming up the ladders, whereas Notts is this traditional club that even as a kid for me, you know, Notts County was a huge club, a wonderful club, and just across the river from Nottingham Forest, and you know, there's a great tradition there, and with that becomes a weight of expectation and the fan base. So, you know, during lockdown I spoke to several fans, elderly fans during lockdown to give them some company, and I had some sort of 30-minute conversations with some of them, and you know, they're telling me I went to my first game in 1942 and you come off the phone like a little bit in awe of, wow, you know, this guy's been supporting this team for that amount of time. So that's the tradition that a club like Notts has.
Brilliant. Obviously, you've got the appointments now. You start on the 1st of July. You've got 7 weeks to prepare then for the first game. Obviously different to when you've taken over at Wimbledon and Notts County. They were both mid-season, outside the transfer window. How much of an advantage is that going to be, having that period of time?
You know, I took over Wimbledon, bottom of the league, took over Notts, second from bottom of the league. You're fighting fires. There's something not quite right from the word go that you've got to try and come in and get immediate results because it needs you to do. And you know, that's difficult, but it's football. You know, the majority of the time when you get a job, it's because something's not gone quite right during that season. Whereas here, you know, to be able to sort of watch the last sort of 10 games of Solihull season and take a view on what was going on and players and stuff, it was a lot nicer. And obviously then finally to be offered the job and to be here now knowing that I've got 2 weeks till I meet the players and we can start planning pre-season and looking how we want to do things. It's chalk and cheese, and I much prefer this one.
Yeah, so like I say, you're not fighting fires from the start.
No, absolutely.
You go with a bit more of a clean slate.
Yeah.
Fantastic. From a backroom point of staff, Quinny's been here a few years now. He's been promoted to assistant manager. Was he still be involved in the coaching side, or are you looking for more additions on the backroom staff?
No. Me and Quinny will do the coaching. You know, I think they said they had sort of, with Darren Carter and a few of the lads last year, they had probably 3 or 4 coaches out on the training field, and there's only so much you can do with, you know, a group when you've got that many coaches. There's only so many things that each coach can do. So me and Quinny will be mainly out on the training field. I like to be on the training field with the players, although I'm a manager and I prefer being a manager and overseeing everything and pulling everything together, managing upwards. That's what I like to do. In the same vein, I love being on the pitches. I love preparing for games, and you know, Quinny's an exceptional coach. Even listening to him talking about the players, his knowledge is really, really good, and we haven't really sat down properly yet and sort of mapped out the way forward on the pitch, but we're going to start doing that over the coming weeks, ready for pre-season.
Okay. From a playing point of view, how big are you looking for the squad to be? Because obviously we've got 17 players kept on from last season, 2 more offered terms, signed Ryan Barnett yesterday. Is there an ideal number you're looking to work with?
Well, I think we'll get back in pre-season. Obviously we've got to look at we've had some long-term injuries last season with Alex, with Callum, with Jamie, you know, and we need to sort of see where they are, because at the moment it looks, with some of them, that it looks like they won't be back until, you know, a certain period into pre-season, so we might not have them for the start of the season. So we've got to monitor that as we go along as to what we bring in and what we might need. And then you've got some of the younger lads who got their opportunity at the end of last season and really impressed. So we've got to look at them as well and see, you know, are they going to be in from the start? But I need pre-season to be able to have a look at them and see whether they've come on again and they're ready for it. Are they going to be in from the start? You know, is a loan deal going to be good for them? We won't know until we get going in pre-season. But I think we certainly want to get the squad sort of to at least sort of 22 players that would be considered first team. Now, when we get to that, who knows?
Obviously, one of the main questions the supporters want to ask at the moment is Ryan Boots being released. So, is there any update on the goalkeeping department?
Yeah, so Ryan, I mean, again, it's a really difficult one because you're bound by league rules as far as you have to inform a player whether he's being offered a new contract within a certain amount of days of your last game of the season. So with Ryan, when we discussed all the different players, I think the goalkeeping position's one of the most important on the pitch. You know, top end, bottom end of the pitch, you win and lose games. And with Ryan, you know, we had many good chats about Ryan and about several other goalkeepers, and it was a position that I wanted to make sure we got right, whether it was Ryan or whether it was somebody else. We wanted to get right. So we never actually told Ryan, you're not getting a deal here. We just said at the moment we want to assess this position and get it right, and he is part of that. So he was told at the time, look, unfortunately we can't say yes to something or put something in front of you now, however you are in serious consideration. The manager's watched, he just wants to get this position right. And Ryan has been told that since again. So it might end up being that Ryan is you know, absolutely the one that we want. We just wanted to make sure we got that position right.
Super. I'm sure a lot of Wolves fans will be happy with that. Obviously, there's lots of goalkeepers on the market. I think there's 23 goalkeepers released just from the League Two teams next season. But like I say, Ryan Boots, custodian for the last 3 years, so firm favourite with us. Of
course, and I'm well aware of that. I know he won Fans Player of the Year, and like I say, in the games I watched, he did exceptionally well. It was just one of them. I'm not a goalkeeping coach, and I know what I like from my goalkeepers. It was just one of them we wanted to say, you know, are we ready to jump into that yet? And it was a case of, you know, Ryan is highly rated. Can we just have a look at it and make sure we make the right decision?
Superb. Previous to Wimbledon and Notts County, you had a role with Cardiff City Academy. With the Academy, it's more about developing the players. With the National League, it's result-based. What sort of style of play should the Moors fans be looking forward to for next season?
Well, it's funny because at Wimbledon I had to be pragmatic. We shared a pitch with Kingstonians. Our pitch wasn't fantastic, and you know, we realised very quickly that it was difficult to play a certain brand of football on it. So we went out in our recruitment. We signed Akim Femra and Tom Elliott, and we was you know, direct, and we got promoted. At Notts, you know, we were the highest possession team in the league. There was a point last season we scored a goal against Stockport, 18 passes before we scored, and they were calling it Ardley ball, and fans sometimes would perhaps moan that we were too patient. And I think we played Solihull, we scored a goal after sort of 12, 13 passes at home. We're really patient, build-up play. I'm kind of neither of them, if that makes sense. The way I would like the team and the way I would like to try and develop the team is to be able to cope with all the different scenarios. So if a team drops off and sits off here, yes, we want to play from the back. Yes, we want to build from the back. Yes, I would love to enjoy watching my team play. It's results-based, we know. But I'd like them to play. I'd like them to play through the third. So I'd like them to want to get on the ball. I'd like centre-halves to step out with the ball. But if we're being pressed, we need to know that sometimes you can't always do that, and you need to have a plan B. So the point for us is to make sure that we're a rounded team that can cope with different scenarios on a wet and windy, cold day there, or a lovely sunny day there where the opposition have sat off us. We need to be able to cope with them all, and our job is to coach that so that everyone's on the same page.
So it's a case of being adaptable to the conditions, to the opposition, and not being rigid, we do this and this is all that we do.
And the same with systems. I've worked tirelessly over my last sort of 12, 15 years in coaching on different systems, so I know how I like different systems to be played, what the strengths of them are. So I'm not going to say we're 4-4-2 or we're 4-3-3. I know if we play 4-3-3, how I'll coach it, and what the rotations and the runs and the movement are, so that you end up with penetration. It doesn't end up becoming a 4-5-1. Vice versa, if it was a 3-5-2, they've all got strengths, they've all got weaknesses, and sometimes, as long as your principles of how you're trying to play are there, you can adapt during games. There might be times in a game where you just can plainly see it's not working. The opposition are getting the upper hand. It looks like they've got a player or two more on the pitch. Your system's not working, and you need to be able to go, right, change, because I can see where our problems are. We're losing the midfield, or we've got no width, and you need to be able to do it and change the game. And that's my job and Quinny's job from the side.
You had over 400 games as a professional footballer, including appearances for England under 21s.
Not many good ones.
Wow. There's 400 more games than I've had. You've also managed, like I say, at various levels with the Academy of Cardiff, Wimbledon, Notts County. Who would you say has been the biggest influence on you as a coach or a manager for your own managerial journeys, the little best bits you've taken from various managers?
Yeah, I think my mum and dad would come top of that list for what they did over the years for me. But Terry Burton at Wimbledon, a really well-regarded coach who brought me up when I was an academy player, and I had him probably through a lot of my Wimbledon career. He was my coach, and even at Watford he was my coach. So I've learned a lot of him. I've taken a lot of him throughout the years. But you've got to be, the one thing you've got to be is authentic. You've got to be yourself. You can look at different managers and go, I like that, but it doesn't work when you put it into your way. You've got to know what you want. You've got to know how you want to do it, your leadership style. Football management isn't just about the team, the tactics on that pitch. You've got to manage a group. You've got to manage upwards, downwards, sideways, office staff. You've got to try and bring the whole thing together and create a real strong atmosphere and vibe where everyone's in it together. And that's what I believe my strengths are, is people, and getting players to want to play for me regardless of whatever your tactics are.
That's great to hear. I mean, from a Solihull Moors point of view, it's always been a case of we all work together, we all work in the one direction, just trying to pull all the forces together, and hopefully they'll continue. I've got to ask though, Neal, what's your favourite cheese?
Good question. I do like a nice baked camembert where you dip the bread in and you've got this hot camembert, just before you having a barbecue or something. That's a winner.
Very nice, very nice. And just one final question. Have you got a message for the Solihull Moors fans for the season?
Yeah, just that, you're going to get, with me as a manager, you're going to get a humble manager who's going to work incredibly hard, who's going to try and put a team on the pitch that you'd be proud of, that gives absolutely everything for the shirt. I think they're the qualities fans want to see before they even worry about the playing style, and they want to come and enjoy the experience of a Saturday and be excited by the way their team plays. And that's what I'll try my best to deliver. I buy into everything about a club. I always have at Notts, at Wimbledon, and here. I know how big they are in the community. I know how big this club wants to be, to pull people in, to make this a community club, and I'll buy into all of that. They'll get honesty from me. If we're not very good on a Saturday, I'll say it as it is. I don't try and smoke and mirrors people. I'm an honest guy, and they're going to get that from me throughout the whole season.
No, it's been a pleasure talking to you. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
I wish you a long and successful stay with Solihull Moors.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Cheers.